Just
Hello everyone and welcome to the Bearded Geeks, the weekly grab bag of topics covering movies, comics, video games and TV. My name is Jags, I am your Beard Master, and with me today, again, the marvellous Patrick Brown.
G'day, mate.
How you going, bud?
I'm good. I've
got to fix this mic arm, it's not right.
Oh, yeah.
I had an issue before. I had like a technical issue just before you got here.
Yeah.
It was like that episode of Breaking Bad where the fly's in the lab. I had this fly flying around the house and I was just like, and I was like, that's going to fuck with my audio so bad. So I'm trying to find this fly and chase it out of the house because it was just like, and it just took me straight back to that Breaking Bad episode, which is probably one of the best Breaking Bad episodes, actually.
Yeah, I like it.
Just kind of one of the self-contained kind of bottle episodes.
Really threw you out of the just the normal story because you kind of needed a break at that point as well.
Yeah.
It was like a little break episode and then still related to it. Yeah, no, it's good.
No, it was bloody good. I really liked that episode. Directed by Rian Johnson, director of The Last Jedi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't know that, did ya?
No.
Now you do. Did you pre-order some of those pop vinyls? I saw some more. There's like a Green Goblin one in that now.
I know. I did. I pre-ordered 3, so I got Groot.
Which ones?
I got Groot. I was nearly tempted to get the big life-size Groot one. It was massive, but yeah, I just got the normal one, and I got Spider-Man. Yeah, and I got Miles Morales as well.
Yes.
And I was tossing up between getting Groot and the Green Goblin, but yeah, don't know. I just got Groot instead.
You can always get them down the road.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I reckon I will later.
We got a lot of good feedback on our Tangent episode last week,
really?
which was originally meant to be our Witcher episode. But yeah, we got some great feedback on that episode. A lot of people liked it.
Yeah, cool.
And my UFO story, I was telling it to people on that, and I'm like, they're like, tell me your UFO story. And I was like, just tune in and listen. I rant about it for like 15 minutes, but tune in and listen.
Yeah.
So, shout out to Alex for that and her UFO story. She told me this UFO story. This young lady I work with, she had a UFO encounter one day. She told me, very short story, she was in a friend. Sorry, Alex. She was in a car with her friend and they were driving along and they saw something in the sky and they're like, what the fuck is that? And they pretty much followed it like all across town and they're pretty sure it was a UFO because she said it kind of looked like a manta ray. Kind of like the shape of a manta ray, like in the sky with like kind of a tail segment and stuff. And they followed it. She filmed it like on her phone, had all this video and stuff. It disappeared. They followed it until it disappeared. And then, they were hanging out that night. They were watching the video and like, here it is on this video. I filmed it. And she's like, I went to bed and I got up the next morning and I opened my phone and the video was gone.
What?
And I was like, are you serious? She's like, 100% serious. 100%. I was like, what the fuck?
That's intense. That's some
conspiracy shit.
That is, isn't it?
And I was like, what brand of phone did you have? She's like, oh, I can't remember. I was like, oh, it's Google, a Samsung, Apple. They're in the UFO conspiracies and shit. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of, I heard that UFO story from Alex. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, got some good feedback. I'm keen to float tank again. When I was listening to it, I was like, oh, they had a good experience with that float tank. I want to do it again.
I have to try it sometime.
You sent me those ASMR videos, but I haven't tried any of them. I'm a bit scared.
Oh, no, nothing to be scared of.
Yeah.
Nah, it's just relaxation stuff.
Yeah, righto. I'm too scared to
just
open
think
them.
of it like walking into your float tank things, just like that.
No,
it's exactly what it's like. You just go, it's like you're about to go and do your float tank thing, but you're going to bed and you're just going to lay there and relax. And that's it.
You're going to have to come. You're going to have to, you're going to have to tee it up like a float tank session. You got to come in with an open mind, though. Yeah. And you got to do it naked.
Oh, yeah.
You got to do it naked.
I will.
You could try it with the lights on, the music on, but there's
spread
big
eagle.
Buttons there. Yeah, spread eagle, man. You let it all hang out. Just like you're in nature, like you're in the womb or something. I don't know.
Yeah, in the womb.
In the womb, yeah. But no, it's really good. It's really good. I reckon you might dig it. And then you get like a free herbal tea when you're done. Yeah. Which is pretty good.
Nice.
Today, we are definitely talking about The Witcher Season 1.
No tangents.
No tangents. We're going full spoilers for The Witcher today because we assume that 98% of people have seen it, and if you haven't, well, you better tune out now and come back when you've watched it, because we're going to spoil the fuck out of it. At least, we probably will. I'll bring something up and Pat will be like, oh, I want to talk about spoilers. Can we talk about spoilers now? I'm like, no, wait. We've got to do the first impressions in that first.
Geralt.
Fair to say, we were excited for this show.
Yep.
But also nervous at the same time. Because I guess we can just talk about our Witcher background. We were like a lot of people. We came into the Witcher franchise through the third game, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
Is that the first time you got into it?
That was my first experience with The Witcher. I don't even know why. Like, what made me get into that game? What made me... But obviously, it looked amazing. It was this big open world and monsters and witches and wizards and witchers.
Yep.
And it just looked really cool. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to get this game. It looks amazing. And I got it.
Idea of it.
And I played it. And honestly, I think it was probably the best, like my game of the last decade.
Yeah.
Because we were gonna do like a, maybe a 2010 to 2020 show.
Yep.
Cherry pick some of our favorite things, but I honestly think that game was probably game of the decade for me.
Oh yeah.
It was so good. It was so well written. It was so involving. It just fucking pulled you in.
It does,
like this world, man. It just pulled you into it.
So
It's just so
detailed in every
rich
way.
and detailed and dense and interesting.
It's one of those games that it feels like it won't end, and which I like. I like to have a game that I go into and you feel like that you can't accomplish every little side quest or little thing. There's always something else, and that's one of them games. It makes me feel like the world is more real. Like, you can't just tick off every little thing in the list. There's always... It's so big. It's massive. Massive game.
Apparently, The Witcher 3 is my most played PlayStation 4 game.
Yep.
There was this video thing you could do like a year and a half ago or 12 plus months ago. PlayStation had this link where you went to the website and you put in your username and password, and it went through like all your PlayStation 4 like game history and trophies and that.
Yep.
And it gave you like your top 3 most played games. And my most played game was The Witcher 3. It was like
nice.
300 and something hours I'd played it. 2 playthroughs. And then when I saw that, I was like, fuck, that doesn't seem like enough. I feel like there should be more hours there. Like the amount of time I put into that game, but I suppose like 300 and 350 hours-ish
that's massive.
is a big chunk of time.
That's about how much I put into Vice City back in the day.
Oh, man.
I remember looking at the
that
stats.
game.
Did you do Blood and Wine? You played...
Fuck yeah, I did it all, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I have bought The Witcher 3 4 times. I bought it on PS4.
Yeah.
I bought the Game of the Year edition on PS4. I bought it on the Switch, and I bought it again on the PS4 because my original copy I got rid of, and I don't know what I did with like the soundtrack and everything.
Yeah.
So I bought a secondhand one off of eBay to get the soundtrack and shit.
Wow.
So I've bought 4 copies of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. I've played through it twice on PS4. I'm playing through it on the Switch, and I've just started a new game on PS4. So I've kind of got like 2 games concurrently going of The Witcher 3. One I can take on the go, and one I play at home. Did you play all Blood and Wine Hearts of Stone?
Yeah, everything. Got through it all. I loved it. I think Blood and Wine was my absolute favourite. I think I like that even more than the main game.
When you go to Toussaint.
Yeah, I just like the light and... it's sunny. It's kind of like going on a holiday.
A Witcher goes on a holiday.
Yeah, it felt like it, and it was.
It's very fairy tale like.
Exactly.
There's queens and knights and castles.
The story was great. The vampire and stuff you got to get after, and I really enjoyed it a lot more. I don't know, something about it. I really love that DLC, and they're so generous with it. It was almost like a sequel, like Witcher 4.
It was like a whole new game. I mean, I've played other games I've bought, that were nowhere near as long as that. Look at any COD game or whatever I bought 10 or so years ago, or around the same time. Their campaigns are only 6 to 8 hours for like a full price game. And you go and turn around and spend, $38 on this DLC package.
Yeah.
And you're getting, if you want to smash through it, you're probably getting a good, at least, 30 to 50 hours of gameplay. I mean, that's a big fucking chunk of time.
Yeah. I think, I'll talk about what got me into The Witcher real quick in the first place. Like, the thing that intrigued me about it was I just love the idea that he's a monster hunter and he just takes bounties, and it's almost like a Mandalorian thing, you know, that you know. And but this is in the fantasy world, and he's a trained, you know, monster hunter, and
he comes from such an interesting background as well, like the lore behind witches and what actually happens, because they're mutants.
Yeah.
You know, they start off as human, you know, when they're young, when they're children and that, and they put through all these trials and these mutations and stuff to transform them into witches, and majority of them don't survive. What is it? It's like 3 out of 10 boys survive the trial. So it's absolutely like brutal process to become a witcher, and it doesn't happen for everyone. Like there are children who don't survive. And
I like how you feel once you're deep into the story of the game and the Witcher himself, you kind of feel like he almost is more human than the humans, because he knows the humans are the ones that he encounter and go up, you know, that get the bounties of them. They're almost monsters themselves. I think that's the way he sees them. They're usually quite evil in a way, and the monsters are the ones just trying to survive and a lot of them,
because Geralt doesn't kill intelligent monsters, monsters that have intelligence, that can think for themselves.
Makes the choices,
because he always, you know, he gives them the option. He's like, leave, go, never come back, live your life, change your ways, do what you can. If you don't, I'll find you and I'll kill you.
That changed a lot for me in the game, because it wasn't just a hack and slash game that you go in, you just gotta slash every monster you see. That was probably one of the first times I've seen in a game where you actually, it was deeper, and it was more serious and real, and you could actually make these really cool choices and feel good about them in the end, you know. I think it just made it such a great game and a great story, and I fell in love with The Witcher then. So
and you could tailor the game how you wanted to play. You could play Geralt how you wanted. You could choose to play him as, you know, kind of the hard-ass Witcher who, you know, helps people but doesn't do it for free, you know, always wants payment, you know, is a bit sterner with people. Or you can choose him to be more thoughtful or more forgiving in that, you know, oh, this is all the money we have, and you're like, you know, you keep it. Keep it for your family or whatever, you know, no payment is required. So you can choose to play him like super chivalrous.
Have a bit more of a heart,
Absolutely, yeah. And that's one thing that, you know, I loved about the game, and that was conveyed really well. As well, because you could see the complexity in Geralt, that he wasn't just like, you know, there's this stigma around witches that, you know, that they, you know, when they go through their mutations, it pretty much removes their emotions, and they're very emotionless and thoughtless, and they don't really care. They're, you know, kill monsters, pay me, I don't give a fuck about anything else.
It's a reputation kind of.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But then, you know, you see more of Geralt. He's not actually like that. Sometimes he may put up that front, but he's actually a really good bloke who does want to help people.
It's like he falls in love and all that stuff,
But he's been through so much that, you know, he's just kind of got this outer shell, you know, that you've just got to break through.
Yeah, like 100 years he's been alive or something.
Longer,
like that,
I think. I think he's been alive for like 300 years or something like that.
Oh, really?
It's fucking ridiculous. It's obscene. But yeah, the game is pretty seminal for the both of us, I'd have to say. And then to find out that a Witcher TV series is coming from Netflix.
So excited.
I was just like, fuck, this is awesome. But it's going to be based more on the books.
Remember when we used to like throw our casting choices out? Like, who would you like to see as the Witcher? And I think my choice was Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones, because he has that kind of face. He looked a lot like the White Wolf, you know, the Witcher. He had that kind of look about him. I thought he would be a great Witcher. And what was your choice? I can't remember.
I wanted bloody Mads Mikkelsen.
That's right. Yeah.
I wanted Mads Mikkelsen. That's what I wanted. Yeah,
he's cool.
He was really cool actually. But no. We were a bit apprehensive about the show because we were worried, you know, we were such fans of the game, but neither of us had read the books in that. I had a passing interest in the books, and I kind of, you know, as I was playing The Witcher and wanted to know more, learn things in the game that I kind of didn't know, I explore a bit more, jump online and try to find out a bit more. But then as it was going, like, they're telling us that it's going to be based more on the books. Less on the games, more on the books, which is fine, because that's originally where it comes from.
Yeah.
And those games, like, when you look at The Witcher 3 in particular, they're so dense with shit from the books. Like, it's laced through all those games. Like, but us not being fans of the books or having read them, like, we don't pick that out. We just appreciate this for what it is, as a video game, as a story, as these characters as they're presented to us. We don't know any of that.
You could almost say that we've experienced it deeper than the books because we've visualized it more, and I'm sure that they got it down to a T, like in that game. I'm pretty sure it's... I know, not talking story-wise, I mean, being in the world and being around the environment and everything.
It was much more immersive for us.
Yeah, we could really
we're in it, we're playing
soak it in and be there and all that. So it was really good to kind of live it like that. So, yeah. And I remember when... So how did you feel when the casting of Henry Cavill came into the picture? And remember you and Bob weren't too... I think it was mainly Bob, he didn't like it as much.
Yeah, no, I was pretty keen. I liked the idea of Henry because it was round about the time he was doing press for Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, that's right.
Someone, I think it was the IGN, just randomly said to him, he's like, oh, there's a Witcher TV series. How would you feel about playing Geralt? Because he knew that Cavill was a gamer and he'd played The Witcher 3. And he's like, oh, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be like a dream come true. I've loved those games, and it'd be a really interesting character to sink his teeth into. And then it wasn't much long after, I think it was like a month, was it less than a month, we found out that Henry Cavill had been cast as Geralt in the TV series. And we're just like, holy fuck.
I know.
And in hindsight now, we found out that as soon as he found out that a Witcher TV show was going into production, he chased after it. Like, before they even had anything written, he chased after it. He's like, I want it. And he was just like, apparently he had his agent like calling like every day.
Oh, wow.
He's like, Henry's interested. He wants to meet you. He wants to talk about this role. And he'd love to play Geralt. He think he can do it, And I imagine majority of that come from the video games and his appreciation and how he viewed Geralt. And I've sort of seen media and promotion and that since. Yeah. And he was more, he played the games first, but then I think once the show was coming, or he was interested, or he'd got the show, then he read the books.
Yep.
They downplay it in a lot of the interviews and that, because they keep saying this is based on the books, but there's so much in this show that's taken from the games.
Yep.
And a lot of stuff they wouldn't admit to begin with, but now they kind of have, oh yeah, we got this from the games, and we kind of got, his voice in that especially. But yeah, I was keen for Cavill. Yeah. And then they had that makeup video, the hair and makeup test video, where he walks out of the black and he's got the wig and that on. Good test to begin with. The wig wasn't completely there yet. Apparently they spent a lot of time on that wig trying to get it right. I thought it was quite good in the show.
In the end, in the show, it's seamless. It looks like he's really got that kind of grey hair, because I was worried about that too, because it seems like it's I've seen a lot of times before where it hasn't been done well, and it just looks like they got paint in their hair or something.
You can get wigs that look fucking awful, but I thought
perfect.
This was good. Like, it was pretty much flawless. Like, I've seen a lot of people complain about the wig and stuff in the show. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, the wig looks really good.
It's spot on.
It looks nearly seamless. There might be the odd time in the odd shot where it kind of like, that kind of hairline just looks a little bit funny.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, it looked really good.
My favourite part about Henry being cast was just the fact that he's got that build that a Witcher should have. Because I was worried that whoever they would cast would just be, because a lot of good actors usually don't have that kind of big build, and they're not like, they haven't been to the gym every 7 days a week or whatever, and but Henry happens to be one of those great actors who's already, like, he's played Superman, he was massive, and that's just kind of how I pictured Geralt. I was really hoping that he would be just solid, look like he's trained for decades trying to be the perfect Witcher and to take down monsters. Looks like he can actually handle himself in a fight. Like, that's how I pictured him. So
I really liked his physique.
Yeah. That jawline too, spot on.
Yeah, the jawline. Fuck the jawline. I liked his physique because obviously going back to the game and that again in the game, Geralt is quite lean.
He is lean, yeah.
He's quite lean, but he's very muscular.
Oh, he's ripped.
As well. And in the show, they kind of did the same sort of thing. Henry's a tall dude. He's wide across the shoulders. He's got a big chest. But he's got a real little waist, and he looks super lean. But he's ripped to fucking shit.
I'm so glad they did that bath scene in the show.
That was a nod to fans of the game.
It was exact. Like, I was grinning that whole time watching that because I was like, this just feels just like the game, and it was it was just perfect. And Yennefer in there she was perfect. He was perfect. It was just great.
What was your first impression of the show? Because when did we get it? We got it the 20th of December, so we got it the last 10 days of the year. What was your first impression of the show? Like, what did you think of the look and stuff? Like Geralt's look, his armor design, single sword on the back, roach. What did you think?
Yep. So my first impression was all of that was spot on. I was like, yes. Outfit, the armor, the monster fight at the beginning, perfect. I was like, this is great. And it was intense, and really happy with that. That looked really good CGI, actually. That was
with the Kikimora.
The Kikimora,
yeah.
That was great. And
I think they were coming out of the gate, so they're like, right, this is the first scene in the show. We got to get. I felt like they probably felt like if they didn't have any monster hunting in the first episode or two, people would kick up a stink. They're like, there has to be some sort of monster related thing happening.
I remember, so everything, the looks were spot on. I was really happy with the world, the way it looked and all that. Felt like the game a lot. I think I got pretty lost through most of the episode. And kind of a little bored in places. This is the first episode, and then it was at the end, where it was just that was great. That last scene at the end, that big fight scene at the end and stuff like that. But I was getting a bit lost, and I couldn't follow as much. But I mean, it happened through the whole show a lot, and I had to kind of look at a few YouTube videos to understand what was happening, And I think it was when you mentioned that there is actually split timelines and they don't explain it. That's when I was like, okay, that's why I'm getting lost a bit. But that's it, really. The rest, once I did understand it at the end, it's great. It's spot on. I couldn't follow it too well. That was all.
Yep. Yeah, I quite like the look of the show. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
Really comes across as dark, gross fantasy, very adult. Fantasy, this is not like Lord of the Rings and stuff where there's sunshine and green grass and all this sort of stuff. This is very adult. This is very dark.
Yeah.
It's a hard world, living on the continent. But I really liked it. I think Geralt looked amazing. I really liked the cat's eyes. Because in the game you actually have cat's eyes. You've got the yellow eyes with the cat slits down your eyes.
Yeah.
Kind of like snake eyes kind of thing. But in this, they kind of just went for those orangey lenses. And I thought that was a really good choice. I'm not sure in the books if it says he has eyes exactly like a cat with slits down the middle. But I really liked that choice.
Usually in movies or shows, when people have serious contact lenses like that are a big different color, you can usually spot them straight out and they look real off. But this one was okay. I thought through the show worked really well, especially in a few scenes. And then there was only a couple of moments when it'd be a real close up or he'd be looking in some direction and you could kind of tell that he had lenses in. But most part, spot on. I thought it was done so well.
Yeah, I thought the lenses were pretty flawless.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing in movies where you get that tight close up and you can see the ring of the lens around their eye, and you're like, because I saw that. I watched Mission Impossible the other night. I watched Rogue Nation and Fallout.
Yeah,
and they're wearing lenses and shit, and you can see the outlines because it's in a very well lit room and stuff, and then you end up seeing the outlines and shit. But I think they got away with this a lot because it's always very fucking overcast and dark and shit in the show. So I thought they got away with it pretty well.
I thought Yennefer's were perfect. Hers were the one because she's got purple, really deep purple eyes.
Yeah, she's got the violet eyes, yeah.
And I couldn't tell once that was contacts. They looked naturally purple.
Yeah.
That hers was pulled off so well.
Absolute standout, very... you can't miss them. You get drawn into them.
Yeah.
But after a while, you kind of just fall into the show and you're like, yep, this is normal. She has violet purple eyes. but that's normal. You know, it's not weird or anything.
Yeah.
What else did I like? The first episode, like yourself, I found a little bit challenging. And I thought the first episode is one of the weakest episodes of the show. I understand how you felt challenged, because I felt not challenged to begin with. Like, I was understanding as I was going along, because it is quite dense. But it wasn't until episode 4 when Geralt went to the bloody wedding do at Queen Calanthe's palace and that. And I saw all those characters who had died in previous episodes. I'm like,
and they're back.
This is a separate timeline.
I know.
They're doing separate timelines.
That snuck up on me too. Even though you warned me about it and then it happened, I was like, that's weird. It felt weird because it wasn't even explained. There's no like, 10 years before or whatever. It was like, I don't know how long. I don't know the timelines. But yeah.
But it was being told in a non-linear fashion. I think because Lauren S. Hissrich, her emphasis on the show, like the thing that she's most drawn to is the family element of Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. But because witches and sorceresses live so long, and Ciri is quite young in the books, they had to play all this stuff out before they got to that. But then they could not set up Ciri, so let's do multiple timelines. And what actually happened for me was I watched the first 4 episodes, and then Kate come around and she wanted to watch it, and I'm like, I've got like 4 episodes left. She's like, I want to watch it from the start. I'm like, okay. So then I rewatched the first 3 episodes before I'd finished the season. So once I rewatched the first episode, because I was already kind of versed with who these characters are, because it is quite dense. It's that daunting thing of learning a new show.
Yeah.
Like when you watch a first episode, you're like, I have to learn, like, where is this place? What are these regions? What are these armies? What's that person's name? I have to remember that person. It's learning all names and places and things, and you go through it. But when I went back and watched the first episode again, if you really pay attention and you work out like what their names are, if you're cleverer than I am and you work out what their names are and you kind of get it locked down in the first episode, you can figure out in the first episode, it is clearly explained. You can figure out that it is multiple timelines in the first episode if you go back and rewatch it and that again.
Yeah.
Because there is a mention, Queen Calanthe is talking to Ciri, and Ciri says to her, you won your first battle when you were my age, so she's like 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then in the next scene with like Geralt and Renfri mentions, Queen Calanthe just won her first battle. Okay. And you're like, I know that name. So this happened in the past. This is happening because Geralt's an old motherfucker. They got to set up his story before he meets Ciri.
Hardest things. Well, once the show was done and I looked up a bit more, the one thing that shocked me, which I didn't even realize until I saw it, was the whole timeline is split over like 100 years. Like there are scenes that are based in Geralt's early life, and then 50 years later, and they just jump like decades ahead.
And it's hard to tell because they don't age.
It's so hard to tell. And one of the things that I think I couldn't feel was Geralt and Yennefer's relationship, which is supposed to be blossoming through the show a bit, when they finally they're together, and then I think you only get like one scene later, and it's apparently supposed to be like they haven't seen each other for 30 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like then they're supposed to have this relationship there where they've been around each other they've known of each other for so long, and I didn't connect that at all.
There's a big leapfrog from like when they first meet to when they meet up again. Like 30, 40
like
years
the
down
next
the road.
episode or something.
But then they reference how they'd met previous and that. And like there's times when like
that was hard for me to feel,
I think it's like episode 4 has got like Geralt and Jaskier. They go to the Queen's party. Pavetta's going to be married off. And then in the next episode, Geralt's there and Jaskier comes along and he runs into him and he's like, "Oh, Geralt, good to see you again. What's it been? A decade?" And it's like, so it's been 10 years since they've seen each other.
How's he looking exactly the same?
Well, technically he's meant to age as the show goes, or whatever. But there's no real way that they kind of showed that, There is a little bit in episode 2 and 3. There is a good jump there because obviously we haven't like talked about Yennefer and that much yet. But when Yennefer's like first appearance in episode 2, you see her, she has quite short hair. But then in the next episode, where she's becoming much more powerful mage, she's becoming more confident stuff before she undergoes her transformation, you can see her hair is nearly twice as long. Okay. So it's just down below her shoulders.
Yeah, see, when...
And you're like, there's been a good chunk of time that's passed, probably like a year or something.
That was another thing I didn't get, was when Yennefer is in her training, and she's kind of just turned up to the school at that time when I was watching, and she's starting to learn, like with the picking up making the rock float and stuff like that. And, you know, so that was going through, I was like, this is going to be cool, seeing her go through all this training. But then they kind of just skipped through that. It was like an episode or two later, and apparently she's in her prime. She's like, knows all this amazing, like she's one of the most powerful witches. And I didn't get that. I was like, I wanted to see more in depth of her progress. Like I would have loved to see that, just more of her becoming, how did she become so powerful? They didn't even show many of her successes, like in the school. I wanted to see her do something mind-blowing and amazing, but they didn't. They just skipped past all that and straight to being a big, amazing witch.
I totally understand what you're saying. I do. I really feel like, because again, like the timelines for these characters, they live so long and so many things happen over this timeline before, and they only have 8 episodes, so they need to get to this certain point. So they pretty much need to get to present day by the end of the season. And they pretty much just have to go through and cherry pick and kind of leapfrog stuff. And really, like, because the episodes are so dense. Like, I've watched the whole season through twice now, and an episode or two again. I really feel that The Witcher on its first viewing is, individually the episodes are quite good, but the show is kind of, more the sum of its parts. Once you watch the whole season and you reflect back on it as a whole, it works a lot better. And then even more so, this is a show that benefits from a repeat viewing. Like if you watch it once and then go back and watch it again after you've kind of like let a lot of that stuff kind of sink into surface level, watching it again, you get so much more out of it, because you know more now, you know the characters' names, you know who this is, and that happened at this time. So when you get that repeat viewing, it works much better, and it's easier to dissect.
So that Yennefer thing, it's more of a not being, it's like the time jumps again. It's one of those things that gets lost, I think. It's, if it was just explained, like, this is supposed to be 10 years later, we'd be like, okay, now it makes sense why she's so, she's must have learnt more or whatever. And it's one of those things that's just not explained. They just kind of just show it, and it's not, you just assume that, see, I thought it was probably the next day or next week or something. She's only been there for a couple of weeks, but apparently she's been there for years.
The scene where she's riding in the carriage,
there's no way of knowing. With
the Queen and the baby and that, she's like, I've been in court, advising for 30 years, and this is where I've got to this point. And like,
when I heard that, right,
they give you that info. Like, there's so much that they've got to get through, and they've only got so much time, so they really have to kind of cherry pick the certain stuff. But there is elements in there if you listen and you pay attention. It's been 10 years since we met Geralt. I've been going to court and advising for 30 years and that.
See that bit in the cart when she's with the mother and the child, and she's riding with them, and she said that she's like something about 30. She's been doing it for 30 years or something, and I heard that, and I couldn't help just be confused. I was like, wait, because this is also a time when I didn't even know she was supposed to live for 100 years. Like, I didn't even, that it wasn't, well, I must have missed it, but I didn't even know that sorceresses could live their extended lives. They live much longer. So when she said that, I was like, but you don't look any older. And I was really confused then. It just, that threw me.
Because pretty much, mages are pretty much like witches. When they go through transformations or enchantments or whatever, they're pretty much going to live long lives. They're going to live for hundreds of years. They're going to be youthful for longer.
It's good.
Exactly the same as witches. Whereas they explain that a bit more. But I want to go back and talk about what I thought were the best episodes. Because there are only 8 episodes. I've heard some people complain that it's like, The Witcher was so good, but I wanted more. It was only 8 episodes. I wanted so much more. If you go back and look at the fucking episode times, Episode 3, I think, is the longest episode, and it's nearly 70 minutes. It's almost feature length. It's a 67, 68-minute episode. I'm pretty sure every episode, bar 2, are over an hour long. I mean, the average, TV program or whatever, is like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think I preferred that.
So you're getting nearly an extra half hour of content. If you break that up, there's a good nearly 10 episodes of The Witcher there, but it's just been condensed down to 8 episodes. My picks for the best episodes of the season were episode 2, episode 3, and episode 4. And I'll tell you why. Episode 2 was obviously because it was the introduction of Jaskier, the great comedy relief, who, for anyone who's played the game who doesn't know Jaskier, in the game, he's Dandelion. Because I think Jaskier in Polish, when it's translated to English, it's, what is it? It's a flower. It translates to the name of a flower, but it doesn't sound very masculine or whatever. So I guess we'll call him Dandelion or something like that, because it's kind of the adjacent cousin flower or something like that. I read it before. I forget it now off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But the best thing about this episode, aside from Toss a Coin to a Witcher, which is the song of last year.
Oh, yeah.
Is Yennefer's story. It's so fucking engaging. The best Yennefer stuff in this show is the lead up to her transformation and her becoming a full-fledged sorceress.
Yeah, it's great.
Because her being a hunchback and, her body misshapen, she's got the misshapen face and jaw. Yeah, she's deformed.
That's great.
But she has, kind of the Mage's touch. She can access chaos,
Yeah.
She's a conduit for chaos. That's the term. Her story in episode 2 and into episode 3, leading up to her transformation, is so fucking good. I honestly think it's probably the best story-related stuff of the season. Her story. It's so interesting. It's so engaging. And to watch her go from this meek girl who can barely feed pigs, and her stepfather sells her for, 4 marks, and how demeaning and, how lessening that makes her and how it makes her feel, and she tries to commit suicide, and then her eventually wanting to be better, to be more, her life to actually mean something, and then eventually transforming and turning into the Yennefer we see for the rest of the series, and then her reveal where the doors swing open and she comes walking in. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, wow.
I was like, wow. It's just like kind of breathtaking.
It was, wasn't it?
This is the moment, this has got to be the breathtaking moment. When she walks through this door,
amazing.
She's got to be strong, powerful, confident, and stunning, and she's got to be all of that. And this Anya Charlotta, who plays Yennefer, I've never seen her in anything before, but she's amazing in this show. She's so good. Everybody's really on point in this show. Freya Allen, who plays Ciri, I thought she's really good. And obviously Henry Cavill. Who else?
What do you think of Triss in this?
I liked Triss. Yeah, I really liked Triss in this show. Good. Yeah, I don't know how they'd kind of play it, because in the events of the Witcher 2 game, Geralt loses his memory, and then I think he meets Triss, and then they fall in love. Then when he gets his memories back, he remembers Yennefer and their kind of relationship, and that's kind of where the love triangle kind of starts there. Yep. And I'm like, I wonder if that actually happened in the books, where Geralt loses his memory, he chooses to join the Wild Hunt. The Wild Hunt, who get name dropped in the first 9 minutes of episode 1.
I missed that.
It's the Wild Hunt, Skellige, all that gets name dropped in the first episode, in the first 10 minutes of the first episode. Yeah, it's really cool. I really think everyone's on point in the show. And Joey Batty, or Batey, who plays Jaskier, I thought he's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
I really wish I saw
perfect.
more of him, and I want to see so much more of him in season 2.
Oh, he's needed, I think, for this kind of show. When you got such a gritty and dark show, you just need that little bit of
levity.
Yeah. It balances it out just right. Yeah, it gives you a good
What was your favourite episode? Was it episode 3? Was it the Striga?
The Hunt one? Yeah, that was pretty good. I did like that. I liked it. It's hard for me to remember because I haven't seen it more than once. So I'm trying to think back to which episode was where. But look, look, first episode, I didn't. it's hard for me because I didn't the first. It kind of dragged for me all the way until the end. But that last fight scene at the first episode, where that whole fight, what's it called? The butcher,
where he gets his name, the Butcher of Blaviken.
Yeah, that. So that whole thing that just blew me away. Like I was watching that and I was like, this is great. And
the bit where he stabs the dude in the face with his sword and then kind of tears it and you see his face kind of slice open.
I know. And I nearly feel like I need to say this is a great episode just for that. Even though I was lost and didn't,
Yeah.
It's
the whole Renfrey and Stregobor story was very... It was quite dense. There was a lot in there, and it like being a first episode, and even I got a bit lost. Like in the first episode, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm trying to follow along, and I feel like I got it for the most part. But then, like 2 days later, when I rewatched it, I'm like, okay, like I've got it now. Like I've got the story and that now. But there's just so much in there. Like if your attention falters for like 30 seconds, you're going to miss something. Yeah. You're going to miss an important line of dialogue or something that may seem throwaway actually turns out to be an important piece of dialogue. Yeah. Like later on. Especially when you find out it's like multiple timelines and that as well.
Was it episode 3 when Yennefer's in that cart and she's like, and then there's the assassin mage that's trying to kill her?
That's episode 4. That's toward the beginning of episode 4.
That's one of my favourite parts of the show as well. When she's trying to get away from him, and
I thought the magic was really well done in the show. Like I'm obviously referencing Game of Thrones here, but it's nice to see a fantasy show that has magic,
more fantasy than
more fantastical elements
than medieval. I'm glad to see. Yeah, I feel like it's been needed for a while, where it's such a magic heavy show. And
that was a great scene. That was one of the better scenes of the season, and the way they design the portals and stuff. Especially when she's like in the sand, and you see the sand start to kick up and spin, and then the portal appears, and you're like, I love all that sort of stuff.
See, I think because a lot of shows, like especially with Game of Thrones and. Apparently Game of Thrones has a whole lot of beasts and monsters that live in the forest and stuff, but they just don't show it, and it's more of because it's not it's not a part of the story, I guess. But I found that this is great, this show, because it's heavy on the beasts and the monsters and the magic, and I feel like I've just wanted a show like this for so long.
What did you think of Geralt's signs?
Yeah, I loved it, and he like puts you can actually see him do it, and he mainly does the push one, but I really wanted to see...
He uses 3.
I wanted to see the ignite one, like Igni. Flames, Igni.
He uses 3. He uses 2 in the first episode, which is Ard, and I forget what it's called.
The mind control.
Yeah, one. the influence, like the influence kind of simple mind control. Yeah. And then in episode 3, he uses Quen, which is like the shield, where he climbs into the crypt. And he shuts the lid of the crypt, and then he does like Quen and puts the shield. Remember. He puts the shield up on the inside of the lid of.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes.
And she can't get into the crypt, into the sarcophagus or whatever. Yeah.
I didn't pick that up. I think that one. I remember him doing it now, but I don't.
It's that shot in the first episode too that they keep showing in the trailer, where he's got his sword and he walks over and he uses Ard and he the hand and the 3 guys fall back. Just real simple shit like that.
I love it when they're just not holding back on all... Because I feel like a lot of stuff that I've ever watched, even Lord of the Rings and all that, they drag a lot, and it's almost like they're not showing all this stuff because it's just so expensive to do. But this one, I just feel like they're putting it in the right places. It doesn't feel like, it feels like they're just not holding back. They're just doing it. They're just doing what they're meant to for a Witcher show.
I feel like it's really important too.
It is important, yeah.
To really... show you what witches can do. Yeah. Because deeper Witcher lore things are mentioned throughout the show. He mentions Kaer Morhen. He references the Trial of Grasses, where 3 out of 10 boys only survive the trial when they're being transformed into witches, do the final trial. Yep. And then in the last episode, he mentions Vesemir.
Yeah, that's
So obviously
right.
in season 2, we're going to go to Kaer Morhen and we're going to meet Vesemir, which will be cool. It'll be interesting to see who they cast as Vesemir
It'll
in
be
the
Mads.
show.
It'll be Mads Mikkelsen.
It'll be Mads. The guy who plays Stregobor, the wizard, in the first episode in the tower, that's Lars Mikkelsen. That's Mads Mikkelsen's older brother.
Is it?
Yeah.
How funny.
Yeah, and he was the villain in season 3 of Sherlock.
Okay.
The super intelligent guy who had his own mind palace and
Yep.
shit. Yeah. That was a good season of Sherlock.
Yeah,
too. I
nice.
should watch that again.
I like that show.
But yeah, I liked how they weren't afraid to show, witches can use magic, but it's very simple magic. Either things they can project or signs they can just draw or
They're not like
sign with their fingers,
Yeah, they're not like mages. They can't do all the
Yeah, they just
proper
have
spells
very
and stuff.
simple forms of magic.
Yeah.
And
the potions. That's great, doing all the potions.
I liked what potion stuff we got, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that in season 2, like if Geralt's down and out and maybe Ciri's there talking to Vesemir and he kind of just gives a little bit of exposition about he's making a potion maybe.
Yeah.
And he's like, witches rely a lot on potions, to enhance our abilities and to help us fight. Like, one from the game is Black Blood.
Yep.
Which is a potion you take when you fight vampires. And what you actually do is when you take the potion Black Blood, if you have to allow a vampire to bite you and drink your blood, and then it makes them sick. It kind of poisons the vampire and it weakens them.
And then you can
take them down.
Yep.
But I like the idea of it. You have
that.
to actually allow yourself to be bitten.
Yeah,
to be
I love
attacked
that. Love
for
that.
you to be able.
I really
want
want to see that now in an episode. I really want to see him use the oils as well on his blades, and or even put what are they, rune stones into the sword.
Yeah,
I'd love to see stuff like that. That's probably more of a game thing.
Yeah, that's probably more of a game thing. But
the oils are great for the swords because then it helps him in a fight against a certain beast.
What do you think of the designs of his swords? I thought they were pretty cool.
Yeah, really good.
His silver sword and his it's not a steel sword, it's an iron sword which he uses against.
I wish we got a bit more of an obvious look at that he has two. I mean, for a newcomer to the show, probably would think he had one sword all along, but he actually has two. One for the silver sword for monsters, and silver sword for people and humans.
Silver sword for monsters.
No, sorry, silver
sword for monsters.
Yes, monsters.
And iron sword for everybody else.
Sword, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And
what did you think of the first scene in the tavern after he's killed the Kikimor? And he comes into the tavern, and everyone's just like, we don't want you kind around here, Witcher. Like, what are you doing here? And all this bloody shit.
Yeah, I know. That was good, that one.
That was good. I liked how they put across that witches are such a, they were and are still, and they play an important role in the world.
Yeah.
But people just despise them so much.
Yeah,
even though they're needed, and they do good things, but the whole thing of people saying that, when you go through the transformations, they say it wipes out your emotions. And apparently, obviously, that's not true. But that's just kind of a bit of propaganda that the witches have put out there, which makes it easier for them to get payment.
Yeah.
Because, look, I don't care about you. I just want the coin. You give me the coin, I'll kill this monster, and I'll be on my way.
Yeah.
And it helps create like a barrier between them and the humans. They don't have to get involved.
Yeah.
People aren't expecting them to get too involved with them. They just come, hire them to do the job. They do it. They get paid. They fuck off.
I felt like I was a little bit robbed on episode. I can't remember what episode it was when he comes back into some guy. The episode starts and there's a guy talking about the Witcher. He's down there. He's fighting a beast or something, and saying he got eaten he was in his mouth and stuff, and he got eaten. The witch is dead, and then you see Geralt come in all like gruesome,
covered in guts and
everything.
I think that's episode 3.
And I felt a little bit robbed there. I was like, I would have really loved to see that happen, and not just like an aftermath thing. And it played out well. Still, it works. Still works really well actually.
Yeah.
But I was like, I want to see as many beast fights as I can. I'm in it for the monsters.
Which is why I thought you'd like episode 3 the best, because that is the most witchery episode.
That was great. Yeah, it was really good, that episode. Yeah, that would be my favourite. I would say episode 3 is. Yeah.
I definitely thought the weakest episodes were episode 1.
Yep.
Because it was very jam-packed with information, and it was a little bit hard to dissect. But obviously, I say, you go back and it's a
Yeah.
show that benefits from a rewatch, from another viewing.
For a pilot, it doesn't really work. I would say personally, I just think
when I finished watching it, I'm like, that was all right.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect that from a first episode. But I guess there's a lot that they've got to get through. So I'll give you a little bit of slack for that.
For people like my father-in-law, Joel, he was watching The Witcher on Netflix, and I mean he kept going. I think he got to episode 3, but I'm thinking for people like him who has no idea, and you just watch these first episodes, and it might be hard to follow, or you get lost, and then all you get is the fight, the monster fight at the start and the fight at the end, which are really good. I think it's as a pilot doesn't work as great, overall, because it's just you don't really know what the story's where it's going.
That's a season 1 thing though as well. Like you've got to cut shows a bit of slack in the first season because there is a lot they have to set up in first seasons, and they're trying to find their feet. They're going through like growing pains and that, which is why shows really start to take off. Like season 2, season 3. Even Breaking Bad did that. Like Breaking Bad was pretty good first season, but it didn't really start to take off until 2, 3. That's when it really started to take off.
I think my weakest episode was definitely number 6, the dragon one. Yeah. So mainly because I really loved the build up to it and the hunt, and like they're traveling and and nearly falling off cliffs and stuff like that. It was great. It was mainly when you get to the end and you see you see the dragons. 3D is not that the CGI is not that great. It's poor-ish. No, it's not poor. It's just not great.
They're stretching their CG budget there.
Yeah, and I think it was more the design of the dragons that I didn't really like. The style they chose for them,
especially after Game of Thrones, where they just here's all the fucking dragon money you want.
And the main part for me, this is just me because I haven't read the books, and I know that it's a part of it. But when I first heard that the dragon is a guy, and he transforms from a guy to a dragon.
Or he's a dragon that transforms into a guy.
Yeah,
that's disguise.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that I was just like, it's just too far-fetched for me. That's what my first impression, because I wasn't familiar with the books and such. And when the dragon is there and it's talking and it's just a voiceover kind of thing, I was like, just cheesy. I was kind of cringy at that. Also, the part where Geralt and Yennefer, they're all fighting everyone away. And then Yennefer's like, no, hang on, that bit, and they do the clash. Geralt and Yennefer do that big clash hug, and they wrap around each other, and
she's like Ard, and they spin around. Yeah, and he does Ard and blows
spin them around, blow them away, and then they do the big smooch at the end, like as they're doing it. So like all these guys are getting blown away around them, and they're like doing a big pash right there, and I was like, cringe. I was like, that was just a bit too cheesy for me.
It was a bit much for you?
Yeah, I was like, it almost was the kind of thing I was like, it's starting to taint the show for me. I was like, I don't want them to go that direction. And then the only other bit was when Yennefer somehow has all these amazing sword fighting skills, and she's really good with a blade, and she's fighting off all these swordsmen, and she was just as good as Geralt with a blade. And I was like, no, keep her. She's a mage. Like, she needs to just like keep it true, and like don't go far-fetched Hollywood with this. I thought they were trying to go too action-packed, and I was like, no, keep it real with her, and keep it with the mage stuff, magic. Have her blasting him away or whatever she does. I just wanted a bit more of that, but yeah, I just felt that was going a bit too far-fetched there as well.
To be fair, though, she's probably 100-odd years old, 150-odd years old. That's a lot of time to learn how to use a dagger.
Yeah, true. But I thought she'd be using all that for, like, that time is pushed all into her mage stuff, But
I guess it's trying to find a balance as well.
Can you picture her going into an arena or wherever to practice sword fighting and stuff? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Like, if she had, like, a master in that and it was, like, one-on-one training, like, yes. But it's the kind of thing where you look... That's episode 6, and then you look at episodes 7 and 8, which are very especially 8, which are very magic heavy, and they're like, okay, we haven't really had a sword fight because like the 2 episodes before, there weren't really any fights or action scenes or anything like that. They're like, okay, so in this episode we have to have like an action scene. We have to swing some swords.
Yeah.
So instead of having Yennefer use her magic, which she could easily do and take everyone out, and then that would defeat the purpose, you know, and it would remove our action scene we want. This gives us the opportunity to show that, you know what, yeah, she is a sorceress, you know, first and foremost, but she does have some skill with a blade, and she can handle herself with a weapon. So she's not just, you know, magic out of the fingertips and all that sort of shit. She can handle a blade and that as well, which I didn't mind. I had no problem with that.
Yeah. That was the only episode for me. The rest, the whole season, great. I had no real... Apart from, like what I said, was just being lost a few times here and there. That's absolutely great.
It is a hard show. It is a hard show to unpack. There is a lot in there. Like, listen to me defend this show. It's fucking good and it's hard. It's a tough show, but it is rewarding once you get through it.
It is. It's good. It's worth watching the whole thing.
I did think episode 6 was a bit weak as well. The setup and that, hey, we want to hunt a dragon. Why do you want to do it, old man? Because I want to do one more adventurous thing in my life, or whatever the fuck he says. And if you actually take some notice, like his shirt kind of looks scaly.
Oh, yes,
like it kind of looks like scaly.
Kind of
like dragon scales.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like that. Yeah, you know.
It was funny at the start when they're in the tavern or something, and Geralt's set on saying no to accepting this mission. He's
and
like,
then as soon as he finds out Yennefer's coming,
he just looks over and Yennefer's on board, and he's like, "Oh, she's doing it." He's like, "Yes."
Yeah,
I thought that was funny. I kind of laughed at that.
That was good. But yeah, I thought that was one of the weaker episodes. Kind of for the very much fantastical element of like a super rare gold dragon that barely anyone's ever seen. And we don't know what they can do, but it turns out it can turn into a human and disguise itself.
Yeah.
That was probably just a little bit out there. Thought that I did think that was a little bit cheesy. I'm willing to cut it a lot of slack because, you know, it's a book, it's a story. It's about fucking guys with white hair with cat's eyes you can see in the fucking dark and shit.
When I found out that it's in the books, apparently in the books it's a really good story arc or whatever with the dragon, and you know, even though it can transform into a person,
but to condense it down to an hour episode.
To one episode, yeah. So apparently the story is great in the books, and it's really one of the strongest stories, and then they try and cram it into this one episode. I just, for a first time watcher and unknown of all that, it just struck me by surprise and got a bit cheesy for me.
Yeah, but I did feel they were really stretching the budget a bit, the CG budget in that episode, especially with the design, the look of the dragon. Because I saw it, I was like, it's about 70%.
And the fact that, like another part of the episode, like you were saying, how apparently the gold dragon is the most rare and it's almost mythical and all that. So when they said that, I was like, I really hope we don't see that dragon this episode, because I want that mystery. I want to know that it exists, maybe, but then keep it for some other time. But then you see it like 10 minutes later, and it's apparently not so rare after all. It's just
a bit hokey. The CG is a bit hokey.
It's right there.
And it has just his voice. He just does like a voiceover, which is a little bit weird because, like, obviously the dragon's mouth and it's not moving. It kind of feels a little bit hokey.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit hokey. Because we live in we kind of live in a day and age where we want to know everything and we want to unpack everything and we kind of want to have everything explained. Like, most of the time. Like, there's a lot of times I'm happy to just not know, go along with it, you know, whatever. But sometimes I'm just like, how's he communicating with just like a voiced over? Is it just like a mental thing? Is he talking in their heads like an all can hear it, or is it just a voice booming out of the out of the air and the dragon's not actually talking? I'm just like, it's kind of
That's what I was wondering at the time as well.
It's kind of weird. But you go back and you watch it again. Like, Jaskier is talking to the twin warriors that accompany the dude, and he's just like, why are you two beautiful women, like, you gorgeous, you know, amazing, strong women hanging out with this old man? And they kind of stop and they're like, because he is the most beautiful. And to begin with, you're like, oh, that's a weird thing for them to say. They think this old guy's beautiful, but no, they know he's a dragon and he's this mythical gold dragon. And they're referencing his true form, his dragon form. He is the most beautiful.
Apparently in the books, though, they have their whole own kingdom and stuff like that. The twins are part of a big, like a I don't know. They've just got this whole kingdom, and it's a big important part in the Witcher world.
Apparently, there's this part in the book where Triss gets diarrhea for 3 days straight, and I'm just like, didn't do that in the games.
Yeah.
It's one thing you kind of want to leave out.
Yeah.
What did you think of Henry Cavill's voice?
Yeah, loved
as
it.
Geralt.
I loved it. I didn't think it was too forced. I didn't think it was too little. I liked it. You could still understand everything he said. It wasn't like Batman-ish. It was kind of like it still almost felt like his natural voice. He just kind of took it down.
He speaks very gruff, and he just speaks very low and very serious.
And I loved the little subtle grunts and then the fuck. Yeah. He's like fuck.
Yeah. Just a simple shit like that.
I love those little moments.
Like in leading up to before the show came out, like the showrunner Lauren Hissrich, she said that originally we had in the show Geralt talked heaps. Because in the books, all he does is talk. He talks all the time and about everything. But she's like, when I met Henry, she's like, the way that the interview was worded, she's like, when I met Henry and I started talking to him, I realized that he's such a great actor and his body language and that he could communicate so much in a look or a grunt, for example. And I'm like, that's from the games.
Yeah.
He's just like, I want to do more like this. And then you see in interviews like post-show, after it's been released, because in the lead up to this, they're like, obviously, like game outlets and that, like talking to them and like, is it going to be like this in the game? Is it going to be like this? Is it going to have this? And they're like, well, we're going from the books first and foremost. Yes, we know the games exist, but we're doing off the books. And when you watch the show, there's so much from like the games that they've actually thrown in there for game fans and what actually worked, like what CD Projekt Red and Doug Coughlin that like got right, like in the games, in the representation of this character,
well, you can
and
tell
how he's written and how he speaks.
Yeah.
And Cavill's just like, I've played that game for X amount of 100 hours. This was like the best way that Geralt's been represented.
Yeah. I
want to do it similar to this, but obviously in my own accent, not in an American accent, in like an English accent. And then it's pretty much just, that's, you know, one of the major parts of Geralt in the show is taken from the game. Yeah. You know, the way he speaks, the way he emotes, the grunts and that. One of my favorite scenes from the show is in episode 4, after they're talking about the law of surprise and stuff. And Dunny turns him back human, and he's like, "Oh, you like a life debt in that. How can I ever repay you?" He's like, "Don't worry about it." And he's like, "No, I've got to give you something." And Geralt's just like, "You know what? I'll do what you did. I'll claim the law of surprise. You know, whatever you don't know you have, bloody is mine or whatever." And then he goes to like walk off, and then immediately like Pavetta just vomits.
Yeah.
Like, and then she's just like, he just realizes that she's pregnant, and he's just like, "Fuck."
Yeah. Took me a little while to get that bit there. I didn't know whether
the law of surprise. It's kind of confusing.
I didn't know whether that vomit was supposed to be a pregnancy vomit or if some spell was just cast on her. I actually thought she was about to drop and die. Then
no, I just knew straight away. I'm like, she's pregnant.
Yeah, I thought it was like some curse or something that she's just had, and he's like, "Fuck," because like some curse. I didn't know that wasn't really spelled out for me that well, but yeah, don't know.
The best thing about the show. Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Yeah.
Fucking epic song.
I've been looking up all these like covers for that.
There's covers of it everywhere.
I know.
It's everywhere now. Like, it was just such a catchy tune. And I think the best thing that they did was what Lauren did. They didn't go to like the musician or the composer or whatever to write the lyrics. They went back to the person or persons who wrote that episode, and they're like, okay, we need a song about Geralt. It's got to be this, and this. Go on, you write it. And they come up with the lyrics for the actual song. They created the lyrics for the song, which ties back to everything that happened in that episode, because they know that episode better than anyone else because they wrote it. So who better to write that song than the actual writers of the episode? Yeah. And the lyrics are great. The way it's sung is really good. It's very much a bard song, you know, the way it starts off. It's definitely something you would hear in an inn or a tavern or whatever, and he's walking around with his, you know, playing it, and then Yeah, great song.
I reckon we'll hear it again in season 2.
It's actually the ringtone on my phone. It is.
Nice.
I'm not even joking.
That's great.
I'm not even joking. But yeah, Joey Batty sings it really well. Apparently, when he came into the studio to record the song, he was sick as a dog.
Oh, really?
He had like the flu and shit, so they like went out and they get like tea and honey and all that stuff, and they're plugging him like full with all these bloody hot drinks and honey and all that sort of stuff, just to get him ready to be able to sing. Apparently, he is a singer. He is a lead singer of like a folk band.
Oh, right.
Which makes a lot of sense. But yeah, it was a really good show. I liked pretty much everything about it. It was it was a tough show to kind of pull apart. There was a lot in there. They had to pack a lot in there. You really had to pay attention. And it was stuff that you kind of had to, okay, what does this mean? What actually is the law of surprise? Let me look at that, because I didn't quite understand. Does it mean you're entitled to, you know, a bale of hay or a fucking goat or, you know, your unborn child? You know, I'm entitled to your child or whatever. You know, like, what kind of law is that? You know, that's definitely something that a Polish writer came up with.
I can't wait to see more of just more beasts and things. I want to see drowners. I want to see a few of those lurking around.
Cool. We got corpse eaters in the last episode.
I want some spectres.
Yeah, we got like ghouls, corpse eaters in the last episode.
Yeah,
like when
that
they
was
went
great.
to like the refugee camp, and the guy was like trying to move all the bodies and
That was
stuff.
cool.
And then they all come out of the ground, all these
I want to see him
ghouls
go
and-
down to a crypt or something and like have a ghost episode. That'd be great.
like a spectre and that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Spectre episode.
Hopefully they'll get a lot more money for the second season. The show was such a big hit. Like I was looking on like, because the show came out on the 20th, you know, getting toward like 10 or 11 days later. There are all these lists coming out. What's the most watched stream show of the year? What's this? Apparently, like The Mandalorian, which was the biggest show of the year and to be the most pirated show of the year, apparently The Witcher overtook The Mandalorian.
Wow.
In
That's
like the
bloody
last
impressive.
10 days of the year. It's like one of the biggest shows of the year. Like,
It's hard to beat Star Wars, isn't it?
even a show like Stranger Things and that, like
Yeah.
in Australia, like the most watched thing on Netflix in Australia last year was that fucking Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston heist boat movie murder fucking that was people are stupid, man. They just watch fucking Adam Sandler movies, fucking idiots. But the second most watched thing on Netflix in Australia last year was The Witcher at number 2, and that only came out in the last 10 days of the year. That's amazing.
That is really good.
So many people watching it and that. I really liked, before I finally wrap it up, I've just remembered this, like, it is a show that's great on a repeat viewing, because once you get to episode 6, you actually find out that Geralt was in Sintra, like, in the first episode where, like, the sacking and the war and that was happening.
Yeah.
And then, like, in the first episode, like, Ciri's playing Knucklebones, and she kind of looks over, and it kind of shows you the corner of this building, and then the knights come riding around the corner on the horse, and you're like, oh, she must have, like, she's magical, she can kind of hear it coming. But it's actually kind of destiny, because Geralt was kind of in that hallway. Yeah. And there was one scene where we got the medallion touch in episode 6.
Yeah, I know.
Where he's like, because
they're supposed to vibrate.
Yeah, because I had to explain it to Catherine as well. I was like, the witches' medallions are actually a little bit magic. And, you know, if they're near an element or something like that that's important, or it's a magic-related thing, it'll kind of hum, it'll vibrate. And once Geralt kind of knows even if he's subconsciously close to Ciri, he kind of grabs his medallion almost like it's humming, like it's telling him, like, destiny. Such a theme of this show is like destiny, and because they say it 100 times every episode, she is your destiny. You can't fight destiny, Geralt. Destiny, destiny, destiny. Yeah, it's really good. I like it.
Yeah.
Dig the show.
Yeah, I'm keen for more. I think they're jumping ahead of themselves, but there was a thing saying that they're up for, like, they're looking at doing like 20 seasons or something, like 10 seasons.
20 seasons?
Yeah, like they're like, oh, it's you know, apparently they've already got it going for, or they're looking to do, you know, that amount of seasons. I'm like,
well, I know season 2 is locked in, but we're not getting it till 20.
You can never be sure, because it all depends on how good a certain season is. If a season flops, then it ends.
This season
cancelled.
Was really well received. Critically, it was probably got a little bit of a flogging. It was probably like, you know, 75-25. 75 good, 25 flogging. You know, a lot of people didn't like it. It was convoluted or whatever. There was one fucking outlet, what was it? was it Variety or the New York Times? I forget which one it was, but like one of the higher end like media outlets and that, like the reviewer watched like the first episode or two and didn't like it. So he skipped to episode 5 and watched episode 5. And I don't even think he watched the whole thing. And then he reviewed the season on watching like 2 or 3 episodes from. He didn't even watch the whole show. And fuck, they copped a lot of flack for that from people.
Ridiculous.
You can't review a show just by watching cherry picking the odd episode and that, because
it sounds like they weren't even going to give it a chance from the beginning.
Yeah, I liked the show. I really enjoyed it. As a fan of the game, I loved it. And now as a fan of the show, I love it. I think it's great. I think Henry Cavill's great.
Henry Cavill's awesome. I love
everyone's great. What do you want from season 2?
I want what I really want, and we got a little bit of it, like when you said in episode 3. I really want an episode that is just simple, like a hunt where he goes and collects his gold or whatever, and from someone, someone's missing and I need you to find this beast, or something like that. I just want an episode that's real simple, just him tracking a beast, but I don't want him to get straight to it. I want it to be a whole episode of him searching and going through caves, and he's trying to find traces of it, and he has to take certain tonics and, put oil on his blade. And
you want a live action game. That's what you want.
Use cat eyes and but no, more like, yeah, pretty much, but but I really want it to be.
Too well, Patrick.
But
Brown.
I've always wanted that in cinema form. I'd love to see that done. Like they kind of like that Mandalorian episode where he had to go and find the egg from that big beast thing, and get that and bring it back. That was a shorter version, but I want something like that with The Witcher. I really want him to just go deep and then finally get to it, and he has to decide whether to kill it or not, and it's more of a decision-based thing, and something like that. I really want a good episode like that, but that's really all I want. I want more monsters.
I honestly, I would like to see some more monster
magic.
Hunting.
I want some more Yennefer, more magic. I want that love triangle to come in with Triss.
I want to really see the family element start to take off, because Yennefer spends a lot of the season wanting a baby.
I want to see Triss. Sorry, not Triss. Ciri. I want to see Ciri go through training like The Witcher, because she's supposed to be.
I think that'll be a way off.
Yeah, that'll be a
way off.
But I want to see her turn into the one like in the game. Yeah, she's very strong.
You just want the game. You want a live action game, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I know you too.
I really do.
You're very simple. You're easy to please.
Oh yeah,
and you're very hard to please at the same time.
No, not really. Not really.
I just want to see more expansion on everything. I want to learn more about witches. I want to know...
Go deep.
Because we're going to Kaer Morhen. I want to see kind of what the live action interpretation of Kaer Morhen looks like. The School of the Wolf. What it looks like now. Because, we can't... after the sacking of Kaer Morhen, we've lost the ability to create witches. So what does Kaer Morhen look like now? Is it a ruin, and the remaining few witches, the School of the Wolf witches live there? Vesemir is there. Is he there on his own? Is he there with more? What does it look like? I want to see more expansion on the Witcher lore. What actually is involved in creating witches. Why do they use potions? Where did they learn how to make potions? I want to see what Vesemir's like. I want to see who they cast as Vesemir. And I really want to see that family dynamic start to grow, and how that kind of affects Yennefer now that she kind of has a surrogate child with Ciri. I want to see more Jaskier.
Yeah,
I'd love to see some monster hunting. I would like another catchy song that's as good or better as Toss a Coin to Your Witcher. And I fucking want Gwent. I want to see some Gwent. Even if there's just someone in the back of a tavern with some cards. There's establishing shots of Geralt coming into a tavern. It cuts to everyone turns and looks, and you see one guy flipping cards, and he stops. And they're obviously playing Gwent.
Oh, look,
and I'm just like, they don't have to have it in the show. They don't have to have it this is an established thing. But to just reference it once.
I guarantee
I just want to see it referenced once.
They will. There's going to be many seasons, and no doubt.
Somebody's walking past Geralt in a tavern. He's like, fancy a game of Gwent Witcher? And he's
they will.
And he's just like, fuck off.
There'll be a Gwent tournament or something like that.
It's like that scene in X-Men First Class where Charles and Magneto come in and they meet Wolverine and they're like, fancy a game of Gwent? And he's like, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
And they kind of just leave. Yeah. Something like that, but instead of Wolverine, it's Gwent.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Oh, they will.
I'd like to see them have a little bit more money. Netflix shell out a bit more money, especially for like the CG budget. You know, if we're going to have some monsters and stuff, like I said, that is first shot in the first episode of the Kikimora.
Yeah.
Like, this was like the first big monster thing. So that shot really had to like sell it. It had to look good. If it looked like hokey CG, people would have been like, oh man, I haven't got good hopes for this. That's not a good start. You know, but there was a really good start with the look and the design of the CG, the quality of the CG. And I'm interested to see how a more like linear story plays out now that all three timelines have caught up and are together, and just to see how that plays out now. I mean, will Ciri start to learn more about her past and her origins and her abilities, and, you know, will it get to like the end of the season and they'll be like, we're going to train you as a Witcher. We're going to train you to be a Witcher, and it'll be like, dun 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 dun, season ends. See you in 2 years for season 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm keen. I want more. I want more Witcher. Great. I want it right now.
It's good.
Yeah, toss a coin to your Witcher. That's about it from me. I think I've pretty much covered everything.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's a good show. Bloody loved it.
Yep.
I want another Witcher game.
Yeah, me too. We will get one. No doubt.
We will after in probably like 6 or 7 years.
Oh yeah, it'll be.
We'll probably get another one after Cyberpunk.
Be on PS5. Or
yeah. It won't be. I doubt it'll be a Witcher game with Geralt, but it will definitely get another Witcher game of some description.
Has to be Geralt.
A Geralt story's already done though. He's had his trilogy. He got his story wrapped up at the end of Blood and Wine. He lives happily ever after.
True. Yeah.
Depending on the ending you get. I did buy that Thronebreaker. The Witcher game. What is it? Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, or whatever it is. I bought that. It was on sale the other week, and I bought that for like $15.
Yeah.
And I was playing that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's like a little kind of isometric game, and you run around with your little character and stuff, but all the battles are Gwent. They're all Gwent battles. So that's how it all plays out. But the story is really good. It's like The Witcher. It's all dense dialogue. You do get some dialogue options in that, like how you choose. When you run into people and you meet people, you can kind of recruit them in that, and depending on how you play, they can either be happy with you and stay with you and be loyal, or you can upset them. You know, they ask you to do something and you don't do it, and you're like, well, fuck you, then I'm leaving, and then they leave your party and all that sort of stuff. So it is quite still dense storytelling, maybe not to the degree of The Witcher 3, you know, something like the Bloody Baron, like side quest and that, you know, incredibly dense, like moving story, but it is still really good, and it is something you could probably sink a lot of hours into. But yeah, more Gwent, love it.
Yep,
bloody love it.
Yeah, nice.
Is that it from you, mate?
Yeah, yep, that's all I got to cover.
Well, that's it from me. Yeah, what would you give it out of 5?
I would give it a solid 4.
I'd give it a 4 as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
It's just a bit. It's a bit dense. It's a lot to chew on, the show.
Yeah.
But again, I will say it is a show that benefits from a repeat viewing.
Yeah.
So if you watch it once and then you want to come back to it in a couple of weeks or a month and just watch through it again, still having knowledge in that of your first like watch through, it will make more sense and you will get more out of it, and you'll be like, oh, okay, I forgot they said that line. I didn't catch that the first time. That makes more sense now.
Yeah.
This makes more sense now. That's cool. I didn't notice that the first time. But yeah, it's definitely a series of benefits from a rewatch. Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
That's it from me, mate.
Awesome.
It's good to see you, pal.
Yeah, you too, mate.
We've got to do our Rise of Skywalker episode. We're going to talk about that. We'll get to that eventually. I've got 2 really cool episodes planned coming. I've recorded, what is it now? It's Thursday night now. I'm recording another show Saturday afternoon, which is going to be really cool. But then I've got another pretty cool episode lined up, one that I think you'll really enjoy. And there's going to be more Instagram-related stuff to that episode. I haven't told you about it yet because I haven't seen you, but once we get off here, I'll spill the deets, mate. I'll
tell me. Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Yep.
Get on Netflix and watch The Witcher. It's really good.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll regret it.
Yep.
Thanks, Patty.
All right, no worries.
Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next week on the Bearded Geeks. Hey!